What is up, YouTube? This is Zane from Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! And today I'd like to apologize first of all because I haven't been uploading videos recently. That's because I went on holiday to Pakistan. Well, it wasn't really a holiday, more visiting relatives. So I was on holiday during the holidays. And as some of you may or may not be aware, YouTube is actually banned in Pakistan, so I wasn't able to access any of the other content my fellow YouTubers put out or even upload myself, so I'd like to apologise for that first of all, and also a late Happy New Year, Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. So let's get that out of the way before I begin. So yeah, new year, new start as always. So I'm going to be profiling Noble Knights. I just picked this deck up. I managed to play it for about a week before I left on holiday, so I thought I'd profile it for you guys. I'm pretty familiar with the deck. I know most of the combos. However, I'm not as expert at this as I'm an expert in Madolche, or self-taught expert, but this is a fairly new deck to me, so I do apologise beforehand if I make any mistakes on card text or anything like that. So without further ado, let's get into the deck. So I'm going to be going over the 40 card main deck and then the extra deck. Start off with 3 card copies of Noble Knight Majort. He is your main man. He gets all your plays going. If you can open him and an equip spell card, then you're basically allowing yourself to special summon a monster from your deck and go off from there. Starts all your combos, and Majort is a really good first turn play. So 3 copies of Noble Knight Majort. And as you might be aware, I'm recording this on my sexy Catalina Spellgram mat, so yeah. So 3 copies of Noble Knight Majort. Next up, the new card we got from the box set, 3 copies of Merlin. He's essentially a Lone Fire Blossom, a Madolche Angeli, and he also has this other effect where when he's in the graveyard during your opponent's turn as well as your own turn, you can banish him, then XYZ, or you can banish him and Synchro. So it's basically a quick effect like many of the Yang Zing monsters, that kind of effect where you can just go ahead and spell speed 2, summon on your opponent's turn, which is really nice. And also 1400 attack isn't too weak compared to Lone Fire Blossom and Madolche Angeli, which are the 2 comparable cards I use for when I'm describing this card. So next up, I'm running 3 copies of Noble Knight Balls. He's really good. He's like a spellbook library, the Crescent, by which you can add or your opponent randomly selects 1 Noble Arm spell card in the pool of 3 spell cards, which can all be the same name as well because it doesn't have that text. And also the fact that it sets up graveyard plays by which you need to have Noble Arm cards in your graveyard, so it definitely helps. It's like a Foolish Burial as well as a search card, which is really nice. That's why I'm running it at 3. Next up, this is where my list differs from many other lists. I'm running 3 copies of Gwyneth, Queen of Noble Arms. My theory behind this was that it's a reusable equipped card because you can actually equip it from your graveyard, which is really nice. It gives a plus 300 attack and it adds an extra line of defense depending on the attribute of the monster. For example, I'm pretty sure the quality is good enough you can read that. So if you can read that, yeah. So if you can just read that, I'm not going to explain what it does. That's what the card does. It's a really good card. Gwyneth, I like it in the deck. Some people don't run it. Some people run 3 copies like myself, but it's just one of those cards that are either in the deck at 1 or in the deck at 3 or not in the deck at all. So yep, those are all the 3 elves we run. Onto the rest of the Noble Knight monsters. We run 2 copies of Noble Knight Gawain. He's your spam card, your special summon from Hankai, your Gigi Accelerator. If you have a light normal monster, you can special summon this. And by the way, all Noble Knight monsters apart from this guy are light normal monsters when they're not equipped with a spell card, so it makes it much easier to go for rank 4 XYZ plays as well. So it definitely helps add a bit of power to your pushes. So 2 copies of Gawain. Another reason I'm running 2 is because I'm not running Pot of Duality in this build. Normally I would run Pot of Duality, but 3 rotors kind of fixed the consistency issue this deck was facing. So therefore, Gawain, it becomes much more usable because you don't have to pay not being able to special summon as a cost for Pot of Duality. So you can just special summon, go ahead and spam XYZ monsters out with Gawain. So it's nice. And then I'm running 1 copy of Noble Knight Gwalchavad, 1 copy of Dristan, and then 1 copy of Brothers. I'm considering bumping Brothers up to 2, but right now the high price has kind of put me off buying a second or trading for a second one. So yep, it's a decent card in what it does, but I definitely do not think it's worth the price that it is. So Brothers is a really good card. I understand why it is going up, but I don't think it should be ridiculously high like it is actually right now. If you're watching a video after basically New Year 2015, the price is probably going to drop because it's not that good of a card to merit being that pricey, but its effect is good, and also it's 2400 defense, so you can read that. 2400 defense definitely helps out. So 3 copies of Brothers, and the last monster, or 1 copy of Brother, what am I saying? The last monster I'm running are 2 copies of Fake Vela. I'm running this as an alternative to Lady of the Lake. I'd imagine, right, the only reason why people would actually run Lady of the Lake in their Noble Knight deck is because it's a tuner and allows access to Black Hylon Selene, whatever the synchro's name is. So therefore, I find Effect Veiler to be a better substitute, because Lady of the Lake as a card doesn't really do an awful lot, but Effect Veiler can negate effects and enables me not to play traps like Break for Skill and Phoenix Shim, which I like. And I'm sorry for being supers, but I'm getting 2 ultis or 3 ultis in the mail soon, trading my Dante for them, and Dante and Virgil. So yeah, so Effect Veilers. On to the spells. Of course, 3 copies of Reinforcement of the Army. Straight off the ban list, 2 more formats ago, or 1 format ago, it came to 3. It's really good, helps the consistency so much. Yeah, I'm getting another super LON, 2 more LON supers, so I'm just using what I had in my collection for now, but LON supers just look really nice. So yeah, enough about the aesthetics of the card. 3 no Reinforcement of the Army helps the consistency so much. It just basically just allows you to access all of your monsters, which is really good. So next up, 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. MST negates, of course, yep. Everyone knows that. No, but Mystical Space Typhoon, against this deck struggles with the decks like Cliports that use pendulums. So therefore, if you can just MST one of them pendulums before they actually resolve their effects, it's good. And also with Senju's coming out, Tenki is going to be seeing a bit more play, so MST is good. And the same thing with Abysphere, because Mermail's got a good back of the ban list. Typhoon's going to help out with that a lot as well. So 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Then for the one-ofs, running 1 copy of Soul Charge, because you run quite a few monsters and bringing them back is good. 1 copy of Book of Moon, Staple, 1 Rangeki, and then fresh off the ban list, 1 copy of Snatch Steal. Snatch Steal is the best generic equipped card in the game right now, so why not run it? It's also really good, and it's also particularly good at stealing your opponent's Injection Fairy Lilies, hint hint ARG. So yeah, Snatch Steal is good in this deck. It's not really in the deck particularly, but just a good card overall. So those are the non-Noble Arms spells we run. On to the rest, we run 2 copies of Noble Arms Excalibur. 3 is a bit too much, however, I am considering bumping up the 3. If you don't know what it does, I'm not going to read all that. There you go. So I'm considering I might bump up the 3, but for the time being, 2's okay. And then 2 copies of Destiny. Destiny's good. I wouldn't run this at 3, but it's just a good card in the sense that it helps you get your Noble Arms effects. And the plus 1000 attack boost is actually really relevant because it makes sure you're marked at 2700. Oh wait, sorry, that's Gallatin, what am I saying? Yep, Destiny. And then speaking of Gallatin, this gives Noble Knight monsters equipped to plus 1000 for 1 turn, then 800 the next turn, then 600, so and so. So Gallatin's good, helping you getting a lot of tough monsters, especially if you've equipped like a Gallatin and a Guinevere. You can make your Medra up to 3k for 1 turn and then 2800 the next turn. Helps a lot. I'm running it at 1 because again it is searchable via balls, although it's not surefire that you'll get it, but you can always add it back to your hand. And then last Noble Arms I run is 1 copy of Noble Arms Affigiateur. I really don't like the destruction. I like the destruction effect when it comes to destroying your opponent's cards, but it's just not one of my favourite Noble Arms. That's why I'm running it at 1. Some people might run this at 2, but 1 seems to be working fine for me. Then I'm running 1 copy of Last Chapter of the Noble Knights. Basically just a Buju Incarnation from your graveyard. Really good at special summoning out a Noble Knight monster and an equipped spell card. Not so good opening, but mid to late game it can be really good. So Last Chapter at 1. And then this should be a Noble Arm Caliburn. I don't actually have one at the moment. I can't find my old one. I don't know. I've just lost the card. Fill out my deck box or something. So yeah, 1 Noble Arms Caliburn. It's a decent card. If you want to know the effect, just look it up. It helps with your Noble Knight monsters. Onto the traps, and in Noble Knights you don't particularly run traps. I would like to run 3 Vanity's Emptiness, however I don't own 3 Vanity's Emptiness, so for the meantime I'm just running 1 copy of Bottomless Trap Hole, 1 Compulsory Evacuation Device, and then 1 Solemn Warning. You can run 3 Solemn Scolding, 3 Royal Decree, 3 Vanity's Emptiness, but I don't have any of those cards unfortunately, so I'm just running this for the time being. I prefer to run Vanities, so if you have Vanity's Emptiness and you're looking at this list, please swap this out for Vanities. So 3 of that. Next up, onto the extra deck. Start off with your Synchro monster. You make this via Effect Veiler and any level 4 Noble Knight monster. So it's a decent card. Its effect is actually quite relevant, so I'd read that if I were you. I just don't want to waste time going over all of the effects because it makes the videos rather boring and drawn out. Next up, for the Noble Knight XYZs, 2 copies of King of the Noble Knights, Artorigus. Yep, he's a good card, and he once per turn you can detach an Exceeds material, destroy any number of spell and trap cards. So if you're facing a deck that uses pendulums, you can just pop both of their pendulums or scales, and then attack for swing for 2k, which is nice. 2 copies of our Sacred Noble Knight of King Artorigus, the rank 5 guy. You can make him, you don't make him as often as rank 4s, but you can. It's just there as an option, really. And then for the rank 4s, 1 Heroic Champion Excalibur, 1 Castilla Omega, because all Noble Knights when they're level 4 are light and warriors. Of course, 1 Heartland Draco, because you're running a lot of equips, you can actually store quite a bit of this card, which is nice. 1 Castel Staple, Exton Staple, 101, I'm not going to say what these cards do, 1 Gagula Cowboy, and then 1 Black Ship of Corn as well. So I am missing, I think, 2 cards in the extra deck. There's only 13, unfortunately. If I were you, I'd just throw in a Star Liege Paladynamo and maybe a second 101 or second Castel. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been my deck profile. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry again for not posting videos previous 2 weeks. I've been on holiday, so yep. Thanks for watching. Zane from Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Signing out. Bye.